You were born in the 15th century in a small village on the edge of the Aztec Empire, far from the great city of Tenochtitlan. Your home smells of maize and copal smoke, of wet earth after the rains. Your father grows the corn that feeds you. Your mother grinds it every morning before the sun rises. The rhythm of stone against stone, the first sound you ever remember. Before you can walk properly, you are already strapped to her back while she works, watching the world upside down and sideways, learning the shape of labor before you learn the shape of words. You are told, from the moment you can understand language, that the sun does not rise on its own. It rises because it is fed. Blood keeps it moving across the sky, and one day, if you are strong enough, brave enough, chosen enough, you might feed it too. This is not spoken as a threat. It is spoken the way other children are told that rain comes from clouds. It is simply how the world works. Your village is small, maybe 200 people, built around a central plaza with a modest shrine. You grow up chasing your brothers through fields of maguey and cactus, stealing tunas, the sweet cactus fruit, before your mother notices. You learn to swim in the lake canals that stretch toward the capital, to carry baskets heavier than your own body weight, to respect the priests when they pass through on their way to collect tribute, their black robes stiff with old blood, faces streaked with ash and soot. You are taught the names of gods before you are taught your own family's history. Huitzilopochtli, the sun and war god, who fights the darkness every single night and needs strength to win each morning. Tlaloc, the rain god, who floods the fields when pleased and burns them dry when angered. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, who gave your people knowledge but also demands respect. You do not question any of it. No one around you questions it. Doubt is not a language anyone has taught you. By the time you are 12, you are already learning the discipline of a future warrior. You wake before dawn for cold baths in the lake, meant to harden the body and the will. Your father, a modest farmer who once fought in his youth, teaches you to hold a macuhuitl, a wooden sword lined with obsidian blades, even though your family cannot afford a real one yet. He tells you stories of battle with a strange mixture of pride and something else, something quieter, that you don't understand until much later. Something like grief. By 16, you are strong. Broad shoulders, quick feet, a spear that finds its mark more often than not. Your father is proud. He says you will make a fine warrior, perhaps even earn a place among the eagle or jaguar warriors one day. The elite orders reserved for those who capture enemies with their own hands. What he does not say, what no one says out loud, is that warriors are made for two things, to conquer or to be conquered. And in the empire you were born into, both fates in the same way. On top of a pyramid, looking up at the sky. Your empire does not always fight to kill. Sometimes it fights to collect. The Flower Wars, they call it. Zaquiayotl. Arranged battles between the Aztecs and rival city-states like Tlaxcala, not meant to destroy each other's lands, but to harvest prisoners alive. Living tributes for the gods. Your first battle is supposed to be a small one, a border skirmish, nothing more. You go believing you will return with a captive of your own, that you will finally earn your father's full pride, a warrior's name, a place among men. You do not return that way. You are captured on the second day, disarmed by 3 men who move faster and fight smarter than you expected. They do not kill you. That surprises you more than the capture itself. They tie your wrists with rope woven from maguey fiber and walk you for days, through valleys and stone causeways, past farmland and marshland, until finally the lake city rises in front of you like something conjured from a dream you didn't know you were having. Tenochtitlan. White stone temples cutting into the sky, canals full of canoes moving goods and people in every direction, floating gardens, chinampas, green against the blue water, and rising above everything, impossibly large, the Great Pyramid of the Templo Mayor, its twin shrines painted red and blue, blood and rain, the two gods who rule this world standing side by side at its summit. You expect to die quickly, perhaps that same week. You do not. Instead, you are washed in cold water, fed better than you have eaten in months, and brought before a council of priests in a chamber that smells of copal incense and dried herbs. They examine you the way a farmer examines cattle before a festival. Your teeth, your legs, your posture, the symmetry of your face. One elder, older than anyone you have ever seen, nods slowly and says a word you do not yet understand. Exipla, a vessel, a living god. You are told, through a translator who seems almost bored repeating this speech for the 100th time, that you have been chosen to become the earthly image of Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, god of night, sorcery, and fate. For 1 full year, you will not be a prisoner. You will be a god walking among men. You do not fully understand what this means. You are certain, at first, that it is some kind of elaborate trick, a crueler death dressed in temporary kindness, meant to make the ending hurt more. The days that follow prove something far stranger. You are given fine cotton robes dyed in colors you've never seen in your village: deep blues, blood reds, sun yellows. Jade earplugs are fitted into your lobes. A headdress crowned with quetzal feathers, green and iridescent, catches the light like water when you move your head. Servants, actual servants, assigned specifically to you, bow when you pass through the palace halls. Children in the streets run just to touch the hem of your robe, believing it brings luck. You are taught to play the flute by musicians hired specifically for this purpose, and to your own surprise, you are good at it. You eat foods reserved for nobles, cacao drinks bitter and rich, turkey roasted with chili, fruits you cannot name. You are given 4 wives, chosen from among the city's most respected families, each named after a goddess for the duration of your reign as Exipla. And for the first time in your entire life, you are touched with tenderness instead of fear, instead of hunger, instead of labor. You almost forget, for entire stretches of days, that you are a prisoner at all. Weeks turn into months. You walk the streets of Tenochtitlan freely. Actually freely, unguarded, trusted not to run because where would a god run to? Flowers woven into your hair, incense trailing behind you from attendants who follow at a respectful distance, musicians playing softly wherever you go. People kneel as you pass. Elders whisper blessings. You learn the names of the city's canals, the specific taste of its market stalls, the particular rhythm of its ceremonies and festivals. You learn which of your 4 wives laughs the loudest, which one prefers silence, which one, the youngest, braids flowers into your hair every morning without being asked, and laughs, genuinely laughs, at how badly you still play the flute after months of lessons. For a while, you let yourself believe this could last, that perhaps the gods, in some strange mercy, have simply given you a beautiful, strange life instead of a short, brutal one. You start to plan small things, teaching your youngest wife to swim the way you once did in your village's lake, asking the cooks to prepare a dish from your childhood, badly, from memory. But every 9th day, you are reminded of what you are. 8 priests appear at dawn and lead you through the city in a slow procession, playing sacred songs on instruments made of clay and bone. You walk with them in silence, and somewhere beneath the incense and the music, you understand. You have always understood, even if you didn't want to, that they are counting down. Every flower placed in your hair is also a mark on a calendar no one shows you. Every warm smile from a stranger in the street is also, quietly, a countdown. You are 20 years old when the final month begins. They marry you to your 4 wives in a real ceremony now, not symbolic, not temporary, but recognized formally by priests and witnessed by nobles. You spend your last weeks in what feels like genuine joy, feasting late into the night, dancing until your legs ache, laughing with your wives over things that will not matter to anyone after you are gone. For entire nights, you manage to forget what is coming, and that forgetting feels like its own kind of gift. Then, 5 days before the end, Your wives are taken from you gently, without explanation, escorted away by attendants who will not meet your eyes. And you are left with only the priests. You are taken by canoe across the lake, away from the noise and color of the capital, to a small quiet temple where the crowds cannot reach. Here, in a ritual you were not prepared for, they break your flutes one at a time, every single one you played during your year as a god, snapping the reeds and letting the pieces fall into the dark water below the canoe. You do not know why this, out of everything that has happened to you, is the moment that finally makes you cry. On the final morning, you are dressed one last time, and you climb the steps of the Templo Mayor. There are 114 steps. You have practiced this climb quietly, alone, in the weeks before, not because anyone asked you to, but because you did not want your legs to shake in front of the crowd. This, you realize, is the one mercy they give you. The chance to die walking, with something resembling dignity, instead of being dragged. The entire city gathers below, filling the plaza until there is no visible ground left, only faces looking upward. And for one strange, suspended moment, you feel exactly what you felt in your first weeks as Xiptla, adored, important, seen by thousands of people who do not know your real name and never will. At the top of the pyramid, for priests take your arms and legs and bend you backward over a stone altar, curved perfectly for this exact purpose, worn smooth and dark by everyone who came before you in this same position. A fifth priest steps forward and lifts an obsidian blade, black as a starless sky, sharper than anything you have ever touched. In that final second, you think of your village, the sound of stone grinding maize before sunrise, your mother's rough hands, your father's quiet pride. You think of your wife's laughter and the flute you no longer have. You wonder, one last time, whether the sun really does need this, or whether it has always risen anyway, indifferent to all of it, indifferent to you. The blade comes down. Your heart is lifted from your chest, still beating, offered upward to the sky, and the priest's voice rings out over the plaza that Huitzilopochtli has been fed for another day. Your body is rolled down the temple steps to the crowd waiting below, where it is received with the same strange reverence you were given all year, because until this exact moment, you were sacred, and even in death, the ritual demands respect. Your skull, later cleaned and dried by temple attendants, is added to the tsampantli, the great skull rack standing just outside the temple grounds. One face among thousands upon thousands, all turned toward the same sun that consumed them. The people who watched you climb those steps go home that evening and tell their children that the sun rose again, safely, because a god walked among them for one full year and gave everything so the world could continue turning. They do not use your real name in these stories. They never learned it, and they never will. To them, you were never entirely a person at all. You were Tezcatlipoca, if only for a while, and now you are simply proof, one more piece of evidence, that the ritual works. Somewhere in the city, at that very same hour, another young man is being led into the palace, washed, fed, and dressed in jade and quetzal feathers for the very first time, and the priests begin the entire cycle again, because the sun, in their eyes, is always hungry, and someone, somewhere, must always be chosen to feed it.